Imagine you are a defender. You have trained for 15 years. You have studied your opponent. You know his name, his number, his preferred foot, his favorite moves. You step onto the pitch. The match begins. And then he disappears. Not literally. He is on the pitch. He is somewhere. But every time you look for him, you find empty space. And every time you stop looking, he is suddenly right behind your defensive line, ball at his feet, your goalkeeper exposed, your team in chaos. This is the ghost protocol. It is not a trick. It is not a coincidence. It is the most sophisticated positional weapon ever designed for a football pitch, a role so intelligent, so deliberately elusive that the world's most experienced defenders have spent entire careers failing to solve it. The position has many names: the number 10, the shadow striker, the enganche, the false nine, the mezzala, but they all describe the same terrifying idea: a player who operates in the space between your midfield and your defense, the space that belongs to nobody, the space defenders call the killing zone. Today, we are going to decode exactly how the ghost protocol works, why it is almost impossible to defend, who mastered it, and why even the best defensive systems in the world have a crack that this position walks straight through. Every defensive structure in football is built around one fundamental idea: cover the space, control the zones, make sure every dangerous area has a defender responsible for it. In a standard 4-4-2 or 3-3-3 formation, this works well. The defensive line covers the ground behind them. The midfield line covers the space in front of them. But between those two lines, there's a gap. It is not large. In a well-organized team, it might be only 8 or 10 meters deep. But in football, 8 or 10 meters of unguarded space is an entire universe. This gap, the space between the opposition's midfield and their defensive line, is what we call the killing zone. And here's the critical tactical problem for every defender in the world: nobody owns it. Think of it like a border between two territories on a battlefield. One army controls the land to the north. The other army controls the land to the south. But the border itself, the strip of ground between them, nobody controls that. Nobody has clear orders about it. Nobody knows exactly whose responsibility it is. And a player who understands this, a true ghost, lives in that border permanently. Now watch what happens when a ghost drops into the killing zone during a match. The center back has a choice: follow him and leave a gap in behind for a striker to run into, or stay and give the ghost complete freedom on the ball. The midfielder has the same problem: step forward to press the ghost and leave the space behind him completely open, or hold position and watch the ghost receive, turn, and operate without any pressure. Every option is the wrong option. This is not accidental. This is engineered. The ghost protocol is a deliberate, precise exploitation of the one crack that exists in every defensive structure ever built: the killing zone. And the ghost has been living there, rent-free, for decades. The ghost protocol was not invented in a laboratory. It evolved gradually over decades as coaches and players began to understand, intuitively at first, then mathematically, that the killing zone was the most dangerous position on the pitch. In the early history of football, the number 10 was simply the creative player behind the striker, an artist, a playmaker, someone who made things happen. But the true ghost protocol, the deliberate, systematic exploitation of the space between the lines, became a science in the hands of specific players who understood something most of their contemporaries did not. It is not about where the ball is, it's about where you are before the ball arrives. Michel Platini, the great French midfielder of the 1980s, was one of the first true ghosts. Coaches watching him play would pause the tape and say, "How is he always in that space? Nobody passed to him, nobody called for him, he just appears." Because Platini was reading the defensive shape 10 seconds before the play arrived. He was solving the chess puzzle while everyone else was still looking at the board. Then came Zidane, then Riquelme, then Ozil. Each generation refined the protocol, made it sharper, made it more efficient. Mesut Ozil, arguably the purest ghost of the modern era, played his best football at Real Madrid and Arsenal, not by dribbling past defenders, not by shooting from distance. He played his best football by being completely invisible for large periods of the match, then appearing in the exact right space, to deliver a pass that split the entire defensive structure in two. Critics called him lazy. They counted his touches. They said he didn't do enough. What they missed was the thing that cannot be counted. Every time the ghost disappears, a defender has to decide, follow him or hold position. Both options cost something, and that cost, paid in defensive uncertainty, in broken structures, in split-second hesitations, is what the ghost protocol is truly designed to produce. Ozil, in a single match, might create 2 or 3 moments of genius, but across 90 minutes, his movement without the ball created 20 or 30 defensive problems that never showed up in the statistics. This is the invisible war, and most people watching the game never see it. Here is where the ghost protocol becomes truly diabolical. Because it is not just the ghost himself who causes damage, it is what defending against the ghost does to your entire structure. Let's play it out. Option 1, you send your defensive midfielder to follow the ghost into the killing zone. The defensive midfielder steps forward. He tracks the ghost, he keeps him tight. But now, the space behind the defensive midfielder is empty, and your opponent's second striker or attacking midfielder runs straight into it. You have solved one problem, created a bigger one. Option 2, you send your center back out of the defensive line to engage the ghost. The center back steps up. He is now marking the ghost in midfield, but his movement has left a gap in the defensive line. And the striker, who was making a diagonal run all along, now has a clear path through that gap. The ghost didn't even need to score. He just needed to exist in that space long enough for your center back to make the wrong decision. Option 3, you man-mark the ghost. One specific player follows him everywhere for 90 minutes. This sounds like it could work, but a true ghost, a player who has mastered this role, knows exactly what to do when he is being followed everywhere. He drags his shadow to the most inconvenient places possible. He pulls the man marker into areas where he cannot defend properly, into attacking positions where now the man marker is completely out of his comfort zone, or into deep positions where his team loses a defensive body in a crucial area. The ghost is not just a player. He is a human disruption device. Every step he takes, with or without the ball, forces defensive decisions, and every defensive decision has a cost. Kevin De Bruyne at Manchester City does this at a level that is almost frightening to analyze. His movement in the killing zone, before he ever touches the ball, creates the corridors that Erling Haaland exploits. De Bruyne might touch the ball 4 times in a sequence that ends with a Haaland goal. But the goal was built on De Bruyne's positioning, his existence in the killing zone, forcing the center back to choose between 2 impossible options, long before anyone passed to him. This is the ghost protocol operating at its highest level. Invisible architecture, impossible to defend, catastrophic in its consequences. Let's watch the ghost protocol happen in real time, every second, every decision. Watch number 10. Not the ball, him. He starts deep, out of the killing zone. The defense has no interest in him yet. Now, watch him begin to move. Small steps, sideways first, then a diagonal drift. He is entering the killing zone. The defensive midfielder sees him, has to make a choice. Does he follow? He holds. Too risky to step out. The ghost is now in the killing zone, free, no marker, no pressure. The ball arrives, 1 touch, he turns. And now, in the half-second it takes him to turn, the entire defensive structure shifts. The center back steps out, late, too late. The gap opens on the right side of the defensive line. The striker sees it before it even fully opens. He is already accelerating. The ghost plays the pass, not to where the striker is, to where the striker will be. 2 seconds later, the striker is there. The ball is there.
The goalkeeper is beaten. The net moves. The ghost is already jogged back to his position. He didn't even celebrate loudly. He just pointed. He already knew it was going in, because the move was designed 10 seconds before it happened. This is the ghost protocol. Invisible until it is too late. Lethal from the moment it activates. Football tactics change every decade. Formations shift, systems evolve, ideas that were revolutionary become standard. Standard ideas get broken by the next revolution. But the killing zone, the space between midfield and defense, has existed on every football pitch ever played on, and it will exist on every football pitch that is ever played on in the future. Because it is not a tactical accident, it is a structural reality. A defensive line must exist somewhere. A midfield line must exist somewhere. And between those two lines, there will always be a gap. And as long as that gap exists, there will always be a ghost to exploit it. Jude Bellingham dropping into the killing zone for Real Madrid. Cole Palmer appearing in pockets for Chelsea. Pedri at Barcelona. Odegaard at Arsenal. Different players, different clubs, different eras. Same protocol. Because the ghost protocol is not just a position, it is a truth about the game itself. The most dangerous player on the pitch is not always the one with the most talent. It is the one who understands space better than anyone in the stadium. The one who knows that the most powerful position in football is the one that belongs to nobody. The killing zone. Empty, silent, waiting until the ghost walks in. And then, for the defenders on the other side, everything breaks. Here is your question for today. Who is the best ghost in world football right now? Bellingham? Cole Palmer? Pedri? Odegaard? De Bruyne? Someone else entirely? Drop your answer in the comments and tell me why your choice is the most undefendable ghost on the planet. I want to see the debate. And if this kind of tactical deep dive is the content you have been looking for, subscribe right now. Every week, we decode the hidden intelligence behind the beautiful game. Because football is not just sport, it is a war of minds, played in centimeters and milliseconds. And the ghost is proof of that.